it's your girl Lex here, and I'm back with another banger. You guys read that title right. This video is how I bought my house at 23. Yeah, so we just gonna get straight into it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, you know what I'm saying, share the video, all of that good stuff. Let's get into it. I'll get into all of what I went through during my process. If you guys want a story time on my house process and moving and everything like that, get this video, like, comment, story time in the comment section, and we'll get into it. So you're probably thinking, what are the first steps to even purchasing a house, right? So everything starts with your credit score, honestly, and your credit history. Okay, so in order to be eligible to purchase a house, you can't have any late payments for the past 12 months. So let's say you have a late payment in July, you wouldn't even be eligible until August of the next year. So if you get 2-3 late payments in that year, they're gonna take the latest date and say that's the one they're gonna do the 12-month with. Okay, so for an FHA loan, you would need a 580 credit score. So that's not too bad. As far as like attainable, you know what I mean? Like, it's not super hard to get a 580 in most cases. For a conventional loan, you would need a 620, right? So if you're someone who doesn't even have any credit, you will need credit to purchase a house. So if you don't have credit, my best advice for you is to just get a credit card. Your first credit card balance, especially if you don't have credit, is going to be kind of low, anywhere from around $100 to $500 on that credit card. So the rule of thumb is you don't want to go over 30%. So if you have a balance of $300, don't spend over $90 on that credit card. Okay, once you keep that under that, that shows the credit bureau like, hey, look, they don't necessarily depend on this credit or need this credit. You know what I mean? That's just how they work. Honestly, I don't know what it is. Okay, and then paying bills on time. So paying your bills on time leaves a good history. Now every bill doesn't reflect on your credit. 9 times out of 10, if they don't ask you for a social security number, then it's not going to go on your credit. But it's certain things like paying your rent and paying your car note are things that ask for your social security card or number rather, and it doesn't affect your credit until it does in a bad way. So if you miss a payment, if you don't pay something, that's when it hits your credit and it's bad. But it's not like a credit card bill where you pay your balances and things like that on time and then reflects positive on your credit. That's why they say your best bet is to get a credit card versus you paying your car note or you paying your rent and they're just like, okay, that's what you're supposed to do. But credit cards is just their way of showing I lent this money out to you and you're doing a good job at paying it back. So we're gonna do you a favor and basically give you a positive review on that. Basically, that's just like how that really goes. So never go with 30%. If you have a close family member, friend, boyfriend, husband, spouse, whoever, and they have a credit card, you could kind of like cheat the code and have them add you as an authorized user. So this works 2 ways. It can work very good and it can work very bad. So if they have like a credit balance of like 20,000, right? So when you become an authorized user, that's gonna like show other credit bureaus and things like that that you have also that $20,000 credit limit. You know what I mean? But it could work in a bad way, because if that person fall behind on payments and your authorized user, whatever consequences and like bad reports they get, that mirrors onto you. So if they get a late payment, now that late payment is on your credit report as well. So only do that with someone you trust and someone who is responsible. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it could work very well in showing like, okay, you have a $20,000 credit limit, your credit score can go up. It can look very good on that side of things. But on the flip side, if they are paying late, they are missing payments, they are paying whenever they feel like it, that's also going to mirror onto yours. And now you're going to have a better, or I'm not sorry, but a worse credit report than you did before you even started that. So that's something to you could be in a situation to where you're like, I have bad credit, right? So if you have bad credit, the best thing for you to do is clear and build that up. So clear your credit, which is like paying off any debt, anything that is detrimental to your credit. You need to get that handled. So inquiries, try to get those removed. If it's things that could be disputed, get those disputed. I've never had to dispute anything before. So there are tons of videos on YouTube that could help you out to where you can dispute. One thing I know for a fact, it is always look better if you mail the dispute letters out versus emailing it or calling, right? So that's the only tip I really have for disputing things like that. Look into it on YouTube or talk to a credit advisor and try to get that process moving that way. So that's how you clear it. Just tackling those things and building. Again, my best advice would be to get a credit card, because that's like the fastest way, also in opposed to getting on someone else's credit card, becoming an authorized user on another credit card. So that is another thing. So after you say, okay, I want to buy a house, you made just a decision that you wanted to buy a house, you are like, okay, cool, I have good credit, I have the credit score of a 620 or 580 or above. Of course, the better your credit score is, the better it will play out for you in the end, and we'll get into that later. So credit is checked, credit score is checked, history, all that's good. So you're probably thinking, what do I do next? The next thing you want to do is decide on what lender you want to take. This part is very important. It's very important. Deciding on what lender, different lenders offer different things, right? So some lenders may offer down payment assistance, some lenders won't. Some lenders may offer for you to roll over costs depending on the loan into your loan, right? So if you have like an FHA loan, a lot of lenders do let you roll that over into your loan, your closing costs I'm talking about. So for FHA loan, it's a 3.5% of the loan due at closing, right? So some lender may be like, okay, cool, pay a minimum of $1,000 and we'll roll the rest into your loan. So whenever you hear these big numbers about down payments, $6,000, $12,000, $20,000, $30,000, there are tons and tons and tons of programs and down payment assistance programs. All of that is out there. Don't be discouraged. Don't let that stop you. Keep looking, keep going. Yeah, so FHA is 3.5, and then a conventional loan is anywhere from 3% all the way up to 20% of the loan. So that's a lot, right? So you could have a $200,000 house, but the down payment may be $7,000, depending on that. I think that's a FHA, right? So it just really depends on the lender. I know some credit unions offer down payment assistance. Like I said, I'm in Michigan, so I know it's a little bit different for each state, especially when it comes to mortgages and things like that. So now you decided on the lender. Now is the point where I would encourage you guys to write that list and see what you want in a house. What are you willing to live with? What are you willing to live without? See what's out there. Determine like, okay, what area you want to move in. Some people don't want to like have like a huge commute, like a really long commute time of over 30 minutes. Some people really don't care, but that's all up to you. Decide what's important to you. My best advice I can give in regards to that is deciding location. Location is important, right? If you are a person who loves to go shopping, loves to spend a lot of time downtown, maybe you should look on the outskirts of downtown. Really be no point for you to find a house, love the house, and it's 2 hours away from everything you like to do. That may not be like a smart idea or what's best for you. You know what I mean? So the house is important, but the location in the community is just as important, if not more. Yeah, so those are all things that you should look into. For me personally, having grocery stores nearby was just important to me. When I lived with my parents, and during high school, I lived in Belleville, right? So I did graduate from Belleville High School, and I lived off of Tyler. So the grocery store was literally like 2 minutes away. And I feel like once I started living in my apartment, and then I bought a house, I was like, this is important. Like, I don't want to have to drive 10-15 minutes to go to the store. Like, no, that was something that was important to me. So if grocery stores, gas stations, all that stuff is important. You can always change what's in the inside of your house, but you can't change the community you live in. So take that into consideration. Don't find a perfect house in the hood and be like, oh, the house is perfect, but your next door neighbor is a murderer. Like, no. Like, look into it, okay? So now you decided what you want in a house. You have your list together. I would suggest now your next step is to get a real estate agent. Your real estate agent and your loan officer / mortgage banker are your best friends. Those two people are the people you're going to be talking to all the time. You're going to be wanting a call from them, and some days you're going to be irritated that they're calling your phone. Like, honestly, that's how it goes. Your real estate agent and your mortgage banker are your two best friends during the mortgage buying process. It's very important that you find a real estate agent you're comfortable with, someone that you have good communication with, someone that listens to you, someone that understands what you want out of a house. My experience with my real estate agent was horrible. I didn't like it. I thought she was a really nice person, but no, absolutely not. Again, if you want a story time on my house buying process, comment story time and we can get all into that. So after you find your real estate agent, your real estate agent is the person that helps you look for houses, book showings for you, and write your offer letter and negotiate prices with you. You as a buyer are never going to talk to the seller. That's just not how it works. Any communication between the two parties are done between the real estate agent or the lawyers. Some people don't have real estate agents, they use lawyers. So yeah, you never talk to the seller unless in certain situations where it's like a direct sale, where you know the seller and you want to just sell directly to that person. So that's how that goes, right? So it's important that your real estate agent communicates with you. You want someone who's going to actively search for houses with you. Okay, so the next step is after you get your real estate agent, you guys writing down that list, communicating exactly what you want out of a house, what's important to you, what's not important to you. After you get down to the nitty gritty, the meat and the potatoes, the next step is the fun part, which is looking for a house. That is the best part ever. It's great. I love that part. You see 1,000 houses, depending on the market. Some people can find a house and they buy the house they see them the first time. I wasn't that lucky, but that happens. I know someone who actually did that, my old leader or supervisor. It happened to her, so that was really great for her. So when you're looking for the houses, that's when they tell you, oh, don't get too attached, because you never really know. During the house buying process, you or the seller can pull out any given time up until closing, right? You just can't. Now, you being the buyer, if you pull out, there is a chance that you'll lose your NDA, which is your earner's money deposit. Right? So after you find a house you like, you say, I like this house, I want to buy this house. Your next step is to put in an offer. So when you put in the offer that NDA I was just referring to, that is money you give to them. I'll get into that in a second, saying how serious you are about the house. The more money you put down, the better it looks, is what my real estate agent told me. But you don't have to put down anything. Now, this money will get used towards your closing costs. So if you put down $5,000 as an NDA, that, depending on how much the house is, that can look very serious. Like, okay, this person's serious. They put $5,000 down. Great. Let's see what they're talking about. Yes. Right. So how does the offer work? So that shoots the candle with your real estate agent's company. So you'll do like a check, a cashier check, a money order, or something like that, and give that to your real estate agent. And yeah, so your real estate agent will handle that. So after you place your offer and it gets accepted, the next step is your offer has to get accepted. If it gets accepted, you move on. If it gets denied, you start all over with another house, but you get your earner's money deposit back. So after it gets accepted, the next step is to get an appraisal and inspection. I'm sorry. So the appraisal is basically showing how much your house is worth compared to other comparable real estate near them, right? So if your house is worth $1 million, but the house next to it is $100,000, that's going to bring the value of the house down, because the house next doors aren't as much money. So yeah, so when you get the appraisal, you want the appraisal to come back at asking price or higher, a little bit higher. That's the golden. You really want it to come back at exactly what it's asking for. Does that always happen? Absolutely not. It didn't happen for me. Like I said, you want the story time, coming down story time, and we can get into all my feelings, how I felt, my process, pictures, all that good stuff. So if you like that, comment story time, and we get straight into it. So when your house is appraised for lower, now your lender is like, okay, if you get this house, we're only giving you what our appraiser or the appraiser said it was worth. So if you got pre-approved for $500,000 and the house you're looking into is only worth $450,000, you're only going to get that $450,000. They're never going to give you more money than what the house is worth, ever. It's not like you get that money and now you have $50,000 to do what you want with it. It never works like that. They're only giving you money for that property, for that real estate. Okay, cool. The appraisal costs anywhere from $300 to $500. That's the one your lender chooses for you. You don't necessarily choose how much or what appraiser you want to use. That's the inspection, I'm sorry. So yeah, you pay for your appraisal. Now that is a fee you have to pay upfront. I know that some people may not have all the money due at for closing at the appraisal point of the process. That makes sense. So usually when you talk about pre-approvals and you get pre-approved and things like that, get pre-approved, that's when they tell you, oh look, you get approved for $150,000. So you're looking at about, if you max out at $150,000, meaning you buy a house for the highest amount you got approved for, your down payment cost will look like. So some people may not have all that at that moment. They may be receiving a gift from a family or friend, which that does require paperwork from you and that family or friend. Or some people may, I don't know, just wait until they get paid to get the rest of it. But the gist of that is appraisal and inspection are fees you have to have up front. So appraisal is anywhere from $300 to $500 depending on your lender, depending on who they're using, depending on all of that, right? Now the inspection, that is up to you. You choose whether you want an inspection or you don't want an inspection, and that's what I mean when I say you pay for what you get. So the point of the inspection is to see how good the house is. You don't want to get a new mortgage on a house and you buy the house and now you're stuck with this house. Not stuck, but you're stuck with this house if it's not an investment property. And next thing you know, the furnace is going out, the roof is caving in, the foundation is slanted, all because you didn't get that inspection. So now you have to pay your mortgage, and on top of that, you have to get the house fixed. So if you don't have money in the bank, you don't have like funds for that, baby, you're stuck. You're looking at poverty. No, for real though, you are looking at a lot of money that you may or may not have. If you have it, fine, fix it. It's fine. If you don't have it, now you're in a bit of a sticky situation. So I will always stress to everyone to get an inspection. You pay for what you get. Now the inspection is what I mean when I say it could be anywhere from $200 all the way up to $500 or $600. If you pay for what you get, you pay for what you get. If you want someone to come look at the windows and open the doors for $100, then that's what you're gonna get. But if you want someone to look at the furnace, look at if there's water damage, and if it's mold in the house, if you want someone to really look into it, how you will look into it, because anything that goes wrong, you're gonna have to fix it. You don't have a landlord anymore. You are the landlord. You fix what's broke. You know what I mean? So if you want that person who's gonna give it all to you, I would put my penny with it. I will pay a pretty penny for an inspection. So let's say your house gets inspected and it has a lot wrong with it, like a lot wrong with it. I'm not talking about cosmetic. I'm talking about things that are the meat and potatoes of the house, like the roof, the furnace, the hot water tank, or big things. Hot water tank is but that can still cost a lot of money. The AC units, like if these things are broken or not working correctly or whatever the case is, you can pull out. Because the inspection was bad, you're going to get your earnest money deposit back, your NDA, you're going to get that back. No hard feelings, no anything. So let's say, just to go back a little bit on the appraisal. So let's say your house got appraised for less, right? So what you can do is you can say, okay, I'll pay less, or the lender can say, I know it got appraised for $150,000, but I still want $200,000 for it. Now your bank is gonna be like, well, we're only giving you $150,000. You can come up with the rest, you know, whatever is, you can come up with the rest, whatever the balance is, but you're gonna have to pay that on top of closing costs as well. But the good thing about that is the appraisal sticks with the property for 6 months. So 9 times out of 10, if it's a nice amount, they're probably just gonna go along with it, depending on the area, depending on all this other stuff. But 9 times out of 10, they're gonna settle for it. If it's a buyer's market, they're for sure gonna settle. It's a good chance, I'll say that. It's a good chance they're gonna settle for the appraised amount. Now, if it's a seller's market, now you're looking at them saying, oh, well, that's what you're looking at, because there's people who's willing to pay damn near twice as much as the house is actually worth. Like, when it's a seller's market, things get real, okay? When it's seller's market and when it's a buyer's market is typically in the winter going into spring. Like the winter going into spring. So when it starts getting cold, because think about it, no one really wants to move in the wintertime. No one really wants to go anywhere in the wintertime. It's around holiday season. Like, you really want to already be in there and settled in at that point. Now, seller's market is when it is in the summertime going into fall. It's hot outside. It's, you know, that's just typically what happens. That's just when seller market is. It is a lot harder to purchase a house when it's a seller's market, but it is possible. I bought my house in a seller's market. Would I ever do it again? No, never do it again, but it is possible. Okay, so let's say now you're at the point where the appraisal came back at asking price or a little bit higher. So what I say is like a little bit higher. Let's say the house get appraised for $2,000-$3,000 more. That is a reasonable amount to some people. You may have the $2,000-$3,000 where you can pay that difference, or that house could not be at your max approval amount. Your approved amount, pre-approved amount is $200,000, and the house is worth about $100,000. They're asking for $150,000, but it just got appraised for $160,000. They're gonna give you that money, right? Because that's how much the actual house is worth. So when it's higher and it's not out of your pre-approved amount, perfect. You're gonna move through the process as you would normally. It's just when it's lower, that's when negotiating starts, and the buyer or the seller could very well pull out. Be like, no, I don't want this anymore, or nope, I just want someone who's gonna take the house as it is. I just want to get it off my hands. Yes, that's all I want. Right? So let's say it came back appraised at asking price or a little bit higher, and the inspection came back with flying colors. The next part is to get clear to close. So after you do all that, getting clear to close is basically meaning the underwriter is just finishing up things. So the processor will send it to the underwriter, and then the underwriter will clear you to close, or they would deny your loan. But 9 times out of 10, if you made it this far, nothing crazy is gonna pop up, especially if you make sure like your credit is good, and you don't open any new lines of credit during this point. You don't make any like huge purchases. Like, don't do that. This is time you need to babysit your credit. That part right there, babysitting your credit, making sure every notification, every bill is paid on time or early, like that's the part that's stressful for me. I don't want to babysit my credit. I pay my bills 2 weeks early anyways in advance, so I'm not trying to pay it a whole month, and then I'm like, that whole part was just a lot for me. But yeah, if you already babysit your credit, you're gonna do fine. If you already stress out about bills and you stress out about bills and they're still paid on time, you're gonna do fine. And so after you get clear to close, you guys come up with a closing date. Your real estate agent sets that up with the other real estate agent, and you and the seller come together and you guys sign paperwork. You're gonna sign literally like 30 pages, honestly. Like, not even joking, 30 pages. My hand was cramping up. Okay, so that is usually how the buying process works. So if you guys have any questions, any comments, any concerns, if you want a story time on my house buying process, let me know. I'll definitely give it to y'all raw and uncut. Yeah, I think that buying my house was a really good investment. Some people may say, why buy a house when you can rent? So buying a house, you get that money back. You sell your house, you get it back, or you pay it off, it's yours, right? You don't have to pay for the house anymore. You're just paying taxes on it. Versus renting, whether it's a house, condo, apartment, any type of renting going on, you're throwing your money down the drain. Like, literally, you're never going to see it again. You're not benefiting anything off of it. All that money is just gone. Versus, if it's in your house, you see that money. If you're paying, or you're paying for it, you can sell that house and get more, or you can sell the house and break even, meaning like you get all of what you put into that house. you know. So buying houses and selling houses, all of that is a great market to get into. If you're thinking about doing it, just go ahead and do it, honestly. You're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, you know what I mean? Whether you want to rent them out themselves, because there's some people out there who just don't want to rent a house. I mean, don't want to buy a house. They're okay with just renting a house, and that's absolutely fine. You know, everybody has different things they want to do. So yeah, if you are thinking about not buying a house because you don't want to cut grass, you don't want to shovel snow, you don't want to do any of that jazz, look into buying a townhouse, look into condos, co-ops, depending on what state you're in, things like that. So when you live in a community like that, you pay what's called an HOA fee on top of your mortgage. Now, HOA stands for Homeowner Association Fees, and that is who shovels your snow, who cuts your grass, who cleans the gutters, who cleans the roof. That is who handles a lot, if not all, of the outdoor needs of the house. And also, depending on the HOA fee, or the HOA association, they also may cover like pipes or different things like that. So definitely just looking into townhouses, condos, co-ops, things of that sort. If you're someone who like, hey, I want to buy, but I'm traveling a lot, that is also perfect for you. So you can travel and don't have to worry about hiring someone to cut the grass or shovel your snow while you're gone or anything like that. So it's very beneficial. Don't be discouraged by any of that. You can do it. I know you can. So yeah, we out, y'all.